Okay, Euro 2024, breakthrough players, the youngsters. Who are the names that you didn't know, but you're going to know by the end of this tournament? Nubaid joins me, as does Kweku. Let's begin. Nubaid, who is your first breakthrough player that will arrive at this tournament?
I feel like a lot of people might have heard of him. He's been linked to a lot of big moves, 20 years of age, Benjamin Šeško. Just one of these players that the moment you switch your telly on, you want to watch him. And I think at the moment, pure football fans are going, we're craving like guys who do flicks and tricks and like a number 9 who's not just a guy who scores goals, aside from Harry Kane. Šeško's an entertainer. Like, honestly, reminds me a little bit of Zlatan Ibrahimović.
I knew that was coming.
In the way he plays. Like, honestly, anytime you just have to go and type in comp, and when you watch him, you think that's not a striker. Right. And also for his frame as well.
What do you mean by that?
Well, these days you look at a striker and you're going, Haaland puts the ball in the back of the net, Kane puts the ball in the back of the net. They're not going to do step overs. They're not going to try beat a man. Šeško wants to beat 3 men before he scores. And I think we also have missed that as well. So whether or not he has the tournament of his life, you're going to leave the tournament going, I want that guy on my team. Right.
And for Slovenia, quite direct as a team. Very good goalkeeper, very good striker. They'll be looking to get the ball to him. 20 years of age and had a great end of the season, as you say. 7 goals in his last 7 matches. So watch out for Šeško. Another big name, but a young name, and who's had a great end to the season, Arda Güler.
Arda Güler's had an amazing end to the season. The minutes that he's got because Real Madrid has wrapped up the title, and so there's going to be a bit of a come down for the teams in the Liga who are playing a Real Madrid team who they know have already won the league. Yeah. But when you squint, and I feel like this is always a thing for young players, is when you squint and you're watching them, who do they remind you of? It's lazy to say Ozil because that was his idol growing up and he played with him in Fenerbahce. When I squint, and I know people have made this comp a lot, I see Kaka. I see a bit of Kaka in him, man. I like the way that he moves the ball. And he's so smooth with it. Obviously, players who are left-footed, they're more aesthetically pleasing. But Arda Güler's a man who came in with a lot of reputation, didn't really play as many minutes as people expected at the beginning of the season. But towards the back end of it, it's come to the fore. And what I do like about him is he's decisive with his finishes. Like, there's no messing around. Ozil's a bit more ethereal. Ozil's a bit more of a playmaker. Arda Güler is that, but he's also very, very clinical when he's in front of goal. And he's a player that, for this Turkey team, he is their main man. He's the fulcrum of that side. And if they are to make any noise in this tournament, then Arda Güler should come to the fore for him.
Okay. I'm going to chuck a name out there. I actually think Ukraine could have a really interesting tournament and could actually ruffle some feathers. And I think Sudakov, for them, is my kind of player. He's like, he kind of gets on the ball pretty much everywhere, so confident on the ball, plays for Shakhtar Donetsk. I think he will be making a big move soon, although we know the golden rule is you do not buy a player after a tournament. But in a team that I think has a really nice spread of quality throughout the team and some really good technical players as well, I think he could have a lot of fun. He's got a good backboard in Dovbik. He's got Mudryk out wide. He's got Zinchenko alongside him. A lot of good players around him, and I think that will facilitate him as a player as well. So I think he's a name to keep an eye out that a lot of people won't know of.
I think what's exciting for Ukraine is his combination with Mudryk has looked very sharp. And I spoke to a Ukrainian fan recently and he was saying that's what they're most looking forward to, because Mudryk's been profiled at Chelsea as this sort of like pace merchant who hasn't hit the ground running and is cost too much money and all the noise that's come with it. It might be a tournament, he's not on this list, but where we go, we know who Mudryk is, but this is where Mudryk actually comes to life, and I think Sudakov will have a big hand in that.
Lamine Yamal, now obviously 16, obviously a big name. He's had a long season. We just did a video talking about the kind of the different squads. Spoke about Spain. Your concern was possibly a bit of burnout, but I think the quality is no doubt there, right?
The quality is there for everyone to see, but he's 16 years old and he's played so many minutes already. I don't think that's conducive to having a long, successful career. And I think when it comes to a tournament in the summer, he's just going to be out of gas. And he's a player that we know how good he is, how good he's going to be. In terms of isolation, one-on-one wide plays, he's absolutely incredible. He's got the confidence as well. And when Barcelona were looking for a man to come up with big moments, he did it in spurts. But again, towards the back end of the season, he wore down. He was tired. And he's not yet grown to his physical frame. He's 16 years old. He's still a kid, still a baby.
Pedri got away with it, didn't he, in the Euros?
But we haven't seen...
Yeah, but he's been injured since.
Yeah, I know, but for the tournament,
yeah,
you know, you've been cutthroat.
For 4 weeks.
For the 4 weeks, possibly. But Pedri, the memes were going about how tired he was, and I feel like Lamine Yamal could fall foul to that. He needs the players around him to kind of protect him a little bit, and I think where this Spain squad's not as deep as it used to be, they're going to ask him to do a lot of stuff, and I don't know if he can necessarily shoulder that burden, because this is a tournament that is being played at the end of a long season, the long season that Barcelona were trying to kind of like rebuild, and he had to do a lot for that team. And I don't think this is going to be a tournament for him. Maybe in 2 years at World Cup or 4 years at the next Euros, he'll be that guy. But at this tournament, I think it's going to be a bit too much.
Fortunately, as a 16-year-old, he will have a curfew and will probably get lots of sleep, so it should be fine. And Bakayoko, who's had a really good season. And for a Belgian team that's got a bit of quality and actually probably a decision to make when you've got the right side and the left side, you've got Doku, you've got Bakayoko, you've got Trossard knocking about as well. Doku a couple of years ago in a tournament kind of stepped on and was really, really exciting. And Bakayoko's had a great season, could be really exciting as well, right?
He's one of those players, again, who's already been linked to move. So I think if he gets a move post-Euros, it might not be the curse that we're talking about. It might be because of the sort of stuff he's done this season. Yeah. 12 goals, 9 assists for PSV have been one of the best teams in Europe this season. The only thing, again, with this is, as you said, Doku and Trossard. Personally, I would start Trossard, because when I look at Doku and Bakayoko, one of them, neither of those are killers really, and Trossard is. He wants to get in the box and score goals, but he's a very exciting player. The best thing about this list, genuinely, is we actually have exciting players to watch. It's become really boring and mundane recently, and I was fearing we were just going to see CDMs up and down this list. So I looked at this list, I was like, thank God for some entertainment.
I think Trossard starts for Belgium, but I think by the end of the group stage, and if Belgium make out the group, I think we'll see Bakayoko start. He's really, really exciting, linked with your boys, linked with Liverpool, and I think that he's a player that a lot of people will be watching because people have been talking about him. Obviously, a new Dutch manager in the Premier League. I feel like he's a player that, if he does have a good tournament, he's set for a big move.
Yeah, I think there's a few clubs sniffing about for a sort of a player who can play on that right-hand side, and so Bakayoko, massive tournament for him. And Raul Bellanova, 24, plays a right wing-back for Torino, and I think the reason we wanted to put him in here is he averaged 1.4 key passes per 90, 10 big chances, and that led to 7 assists. But I think with the way that Spalletti looks to have kind of almost humbled himself and gone, we're going to have to play three at the back, we're going to have wing backs. Those wing backs become really, really important, and Bellanova could be a breakthrough, right?
It's an interesting one for Spalletti because Bellanova probably isn't his style of full-back stroke wing-back. He had Di Lorenzo for quite a long time at Napoli. And so Bellanova's basically a right winger, essentially. He doesn't want to drop in. But he must have known when you get the Italy job, you play wing-backs. That's how it goes.
You can start off with a back four, but we all know when it gets to the tournament, you're going to revert to a back three and going to play with a wing-back. But he's a player that last year was very impressive for Torino. He came on my radar, I think it was on loan at Inter Milan last season. He played a little bit in the Champions League final, and he's a player that on the ball technically very, very good, more athletic than a Marcos Alonso, but reminds me of that in terms of if he plays going forward, going backwards, he's not that guy. I don't know, he's 24, so I don't know if he's that young, but he's a player that, again, if he has a good tournament, he could definitely come to the fore for one of the big sides of the tournament.
Okay then, guys, let us know which players did we miss out on this list. Let us know in the comments down below. Throughout Euro 2024, Bet365 is unleashing their super boost every single match day. So make sure you check out their boost to find out that it's never ordinary at Bet365.